A very good morning to you. Feels great already being here on Global Morning. We're in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. And this is Global Television. I'm Uyi Agmofwegbe saying a very special welcome to you.
And I'm Priscilla Obasi. As always, it's such a delight to be in your face this morning. And we hope to have a beautiful conversation as always. Yes.
Right. I like the in your face part of it. Of course, once you're on television, you are in people's face now. Yeah. But one man who was in people's face again less than 24 hours ago was Professor Amukpito. He was in the faces of senators yesterday for his screening, right? And it was quite an interesting interaction he had with them. Somebody jokingly said he should have used his professorial, grammar to confuse them and intimidate them. And we just laughed over it. But quite frankly, that's what you would have expected for somebody of his caliber, right? Work experience and what have you. But I think he was fairly conversational or even pedestrian with them, and it was just more like an informal conversation that he had. But the issues were very clear, right? One of them was that he said INEC needs reforms, and then INEC also requires, in his opinion, right, to have an audit of its 2023 general election and all of those things that happened, the challenges the commission had, the outcomes generally and things like that. And some people say, well, in Pidgin, now so now they talk as you're coming in, but when you get there, you realize that it is easier said than done. But again, the gentleman is first a human being before anything else. And like every other Nigerian, I'm sure that he understands to a very large extent what the challenges are with not just the INEC, but it's our electoral process. Yeah. I think the reason we always pay so much of attention to INEC and make it look almost as if it is 100% an INEC problem is that the commission is the umpire. Otherwise, you have other agencies who play very critical roles as well, as far as our elections are concerned. And I'm sure you were too busy to watch the session yesterday.
Well, you've clearly broken it down, you've given a summary of it all. And I'm liking the note he's starting on. He's wanting to, do an audit on the previous elections. I think that's a good place to start from. And I think Nigerians should chill.
Right.
Let's allow the young man to do his job.
He's not a young man.
He would like to be called the young man. So
right.
Nobody wants to be called an old man. So let's allow him, the old man, if you want me to call him, to do his job. Let's not be too quick. Let's not be too quick to judge or to, start.
No pressure, right?
No pressure, whatever. No. Let's just allow it, the process flow. As long as he says he's ready, let's take him by his words.
Right.
And then if anything goes contrary, and then we'll take
we'll hold him accountable.
We're hoping for any of that to run right.
And I'm also happy that before this time, INEC had started the CVR, the continuous voter registration, which people have said, a lot of people, especially those in the civil society space, have said, look, let it not be a time window thing where you say Priscilla has between 16th of August and 17th of October to register. Otherwise, the window closes by midnight, 17th of October. Instead, it should be a continuous thing all year round. The way you have passport renewal, for example.
I think INEC needs to do more on the publicity because aside, leaving this space, leaving the broadcasting, most times, I don't know if you get to hear it from the common man out there that there's a CVR process going on. It wants to look as if it's just the politicians that are aware of this, those that are really, pushing their constituents, to go get their CVR. Aside that, it is not really known out there that there's such a thing going on. So there needs to be more publicity to that, yes. Right. And then, like you have said, it's not something it shouldn't be something that has a time lapse or has a time frame. No, it should be an ongoing process until, say, maybe even a month to elections. You can say, okay, can we stop? But even after elections,
you continue.
Right. Yeah.
I think one of the challenges that Professor Amukpito will have to also address is to create a situation, right, or if you like, an atmosphere where Nigerians generally and the opposition political parties can have so much of confidence in the commission in such a way that we can begin to see, at least gradually, a situation where our elections don't end in litigation. So that's starting with the 2027 general election, for example, or even one of the few off-cycle elections, because we have at least 3. We have, of course, there's one in Anambra on the 8th of November. You have 2 next year, 2026, Ekiti and Osho. Let's see that somebody can lose election and just say, look, I'm not so happy that I lost. Of course, nobody's happy over a loss, but I want to concede defeat and congratulate the winner and continue to support in whatever capacity I can to ensure we move the state or the local government or the country forward, and things like that. We want to see that happen. And that, again, also puts some work on the shoulder of political parties in such a way that they must do their part. INEC is not going to do the job of political parties for them. There's no apology about that. So just the same way we don't expect the political parties themselves to do the job of INEC. So everybody must understand the work that has been cut out for them. Right? Do their job very well. Because until you do your part, you would have lost the moral basis to hold someone else accountable. And those are some of the conversations that we're having on the program today, everyone. Let's take a quick break at this point. So as one event anchor once said at this juncture, all right, when we return, it will be time to put our conversations on the road for you. Do stay with us.
Ministry of Education are saying.
All right, so let's turn to one of, just to give you some, insight as to one of our conversations on the program this morning. That has to do with the new guidelines, education guidelines that have been released by the Federal Ministry of Education, that is, under the leadership of Dr. Tunji Alausa. Now, it's quite a broad-based policy move, so to speak, by the federal government. But then there's an element in it that is of particular interest to Nigerians, especially people like Priscilla, who are more science-oriented. Yes, and people have sizable background in mathematics. They don't feel very comfortable with this kind of move. What has been your concern, really?
Well, I should ask you. Were you an art or science student, and how do you feel about this? If you were, I think this is more, directed towards you. If this happened during maybe your time of gaining admission to university, how would you felt about it?
Well, I was going to ask first. What's your?
Well, I studied mathematics.
Right.
Yes, and for me, I think math is like a basics. It's not just in the subject, but the fact that it helps intellectual capacity, IQ, and all of that. And if you want productive graduates, and you need to drill them a bit. Maybe you reduce the standard. Don't expect so much from art students, but then there has to be, something that helps them boost their IQ. And when you take it away, I don't know what is left over. That is my opinion.
All right. Hopefully, when we engage our guests, we'll find out what is left. But then, just to cycle back to the question you posed to me a while ago, right? I'm purely arts. Even though before university days, I had said I was going to do petrochemicals and all of that. But,
so what happened?
Well, a lot happened.
Okay.
But that said, I love sciences. I believe that sciences move the world. All right. Like a friend would say, he has a background in chemistry. He would say that science makes you believe everything is possible. All right. But let's talk about math for a second. Yesterday, we had this conversation in passing, Ramsey and myself. And what I did say then was that, look, math is not just, like you also mentioned, a subject that has to be taught in school. That has to be a matter of, do you like it? Do you not like it? Should we remove it? Should we leave it? It's got to be a way of life. It's how people think. I remember back in the day, JSS2, or what some people would call class 2, a math teacher said, it's not just enough for you to be in my class and know how to solve the mathematical problems or understand the formula. Those are very important, no doubt. He said, you would be surprised to realize that it is on the basis of math that you understand you're supposed to enter your vehicle through the door, not through the winch screen. All right? It sounds a bit weird, but that's what it is. It is math that makes you understand that there's a difference between day and night. So you are not going to mistake them unless for someone who sadly may have lost their mind. All right. So math is not just a question of, are you a science student? Are you in business? Are you in social sciences? It's got to be something that we have to do, right? Especially, this is 2025. We're talking about sciences, talking about STEM, right? Science, technology, engineering, and math.
Yeah.
Much as we don't expect everybody to automatically become engineering oriented or become scientists, but what happens to basics? Maybe what many Nigerians expect, especially those who are very passionate about math, is to say, okay, can we not live it in such a way that we have basic minimum for those in arts, since they are not really science or math, I mean heavy on math.
Yes.
And then for those who are in core sciences, for those who want to pursue mathematics, then we also have benchmark or threshold for them, right?
Yeah.
For example, I remember there was a time, a very big bank in this country, commercial bank, all right, would hire you and then state very clearly while you're reading through the requirements that one of those requirements would be that the person applying for this role must be a numerate candidate. So they were not concerned really about whether you studied economics, banking and finance, accounting, biz and me, or whatever it is. They were more interested in you being numerate. So if you did geology, for example, if you did agricultural sciences, or if you did history, the question is, are you numerate? Which means, again, do you know mathematics?
Yeah.
So it wasn't so much about the degree you earned or the HND that you got or something. So I think this should be an ongoing conversation, really.
Yeah, okay. So I think somehow it still stems or still goes back to the teachers we have. A lot of Nigerian students fear math because of
the teachers, right?
Yes. It's not, they don't see it as a practical course. Just like you have said, math, the knowledge of math helps you, go into your vehicle. No, it just helps you with a lot of calculation, life calculation. Logical reasoning, exactly. But then we don't have teachers that, give out the practicalities of these things.
Right.
They restrict it to the number. Somebody will say, I've been finding X all my life. I have not used it as an adult.
Right.
Where is X? You understand? So we need to know how to practically bring out these things. Bring out whatever it is that is in our course materials, our textbooks. Right. Let us bring it to life. Yes, that's what the Ministry of Education should focus on. Focus on practicalities. And this is not just about mathematics. Even other subjects that are practical subjects.
Right.
We just do it in the classroom, and that is why we have lots of graduates come out there, and somehow they don't even know how to apply whatever it is they have learned in universities, because we solely focus on passing exams, writing what the lecturer told you to write. Some lecturers tell you have to write exactly what I wrote, and that takes away critical thinking.
Right.
That takes away.
So you are not going to be able to be innovative or creative.
Exactly. So that is the conversation we should be having, and it doesn't just end in mathematics. And on scrapping on mathematics, I also think that there are some science subjects that do not even require you to have a C in mathematics. Subjects like biology, for example. What are you using math to do? You're studying the human anatomy. I know that, yes, you would require calculations. So you're taking it away from
how much of calculation do you really require?
When you talk about courses like maybe the engineering sector and the likes of all of those, you will now say, this is where maths comes in. But if we're taking away from arts courses, then there are some science courses that shouldn't, mathematics should not even be, and even chemistry shouldn't be a requirement in some science, courses.
Right.
Yeah, that's just my thoughts on all of that.
Okay, well, let's see how much we can continue to talk about this as we make progress regarding our education space, especially as it has to do with that, if you like, intersection between secondary education and tertiary education. All right, everyone, we're taking a break. When we return, we'll look at newspaper headlines for you. Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
All right, thank you very much for staying with us. The conversation continues, but at this point, let us take it to the newspaper review. And we will start with the first paper here, which is the Tribune, Nigeria Tribune. And on this, I have my first story, just above the nameplate. The first story there says, presidential prerogative of mercy at review stage, not final, and that's coming from the AGF. You find that detail on page 6. Rivers government cancels 134 billion naira secretariat reconstruction contract awarded by EBAS. Okay, that detail is on page 3. To the big story there, my agenda for INEC, and that is coming from Amupito, that's the new INEC chairman. There are some writers there. As Senate confirms his nomination, says improvement of logistics, electoral offences commission imperative, speaks on beavers, IREV, may consider drone for logistics. Interesting. And credible elections will promote public confidence, he declares. Is this supposed to, okay, is this good news?
Well.
Is this, well, I don't know what to say. Let's go to the next story. It means that the budget for this year's next 2027 election is going to be massive. On page 4, we have withheld Osun local government funds. State AG can sue on behalf of local governments. Abuja court rules. Nnamdi Kanu's ailment not life-threatening, fit to stand trial. National Medical Association tells the court. That detail is on page 22. Kogi government raises bandit camp arrest 2 suspects. Okay, so let's go to the next story, which is on page 2026 Hajj. That details on page 6. 2026 Hajj. NACON meets states to review fare as Saudi Arabia reduces Nigeria's slots to 66,910. PDP unshaken by defections, ready for landmark convention in Ibadan. That's coming from Fintiri. There's a writer there that says court reaffirms order on parties not to take any step on PDP convention. Ekiti has enjoyed rapid economic growth in 3 years, and that is coming from Oyebanji. Names new school after former Speaker Afuye. Minority leader dumps SDP for APC. Those details are on page 22, and you can read up details for all the stories on the Nigerian Tribune. Let's go to the next paper, which is the Vanguard, and we take us through that.
That's a headline. I mean, the writer that talks about the possibility of using drones for logistics in addition to other measures. I think whatever it will take for our electoral process generally, all right, should be to be yes, free, fair, credible, all right, to be more efficient. We should do, at least within the ambit of the law. We have the Constitution, which is the Grandam. We have the Electoral Act 2022, which is now being considered for a review. So we can ultimately, if things go as planned, we can have Electoral Act 2025. Let's do all of those, because we are not just going to sit here and have the same outcomes. It's not about who wins, it's how they win.
Yes.
Right. We don't need to be comfortable with who wins. We don't need to like or not like who wins. But the question is, did they win fairly? Did they win in the eye of the law, based on electoral acts, based on the Constitution? If those questions are ticked, our sentiments, our emotions, and our biases will be secondary. I think those are the concerns.
Well, I think this is the same thing we said when, the former INEC chairman, came up with the whole device.
But he didn't talk about drones.
IREV, and he gave us the assurance that you guys, we're going to have a blast. We're going to have credible elections. We're introducing all of these technologies. At the end of the day, what happened?
But he didn't propose drones, did he?
Well, he got a new technology, which was the IREV.
But does it not deserve to be credited?
Transmitted live. Well, I don't think Nigerians will have an issue with, the technologies. The problem would be if these technologies are not effective at the end of the day.
Right.
If these drones do not give us the free and fair elections, if we're still having, situations where we have drones and people come out to say this is different from what is being reported by the INEC.
Or voting even starts late.
Exactly.
Regardless of all the drones.
Exactly. That would be the issue, not the technology. So I am for whatever technology that will make this better, but please, the INEC and its institution should ensure that whatever facility will be used will be indeed profitable for the elections and to Nigerians.
Well, that's instructive. Hopefully, Professor Omikbuto is listening to the recommendations by Priscilla Obasi. Okay, time to turn to the Vanguard newspaper for you now. We're starting with the headline above the name mass. It says, National Grid loses 4,091 megawatts in September. We are not released, it says why we've not released inmates pardoned by Tinubu. That's AGF, says that the list is still being considered. So it's no surprise that now the federal government is saying that there are chances it could drop some of the names in that list. Yes, because dust has been raised around it, especially about some certain cases. So let's see what the federal government announces in the days and weeks ahead, right? Suicide takes center stage as Vanguard's third mental health summit holds today. Presidential pardon, Macaulay shouldn't have been lumped with ex-convicts' family. You see, that's another issue being raised. Of course, for the lady who was convicted for killing her husband, Sanda, that was another case. Then there's a young man who was said to have masterminded several instances of kidnapping across this country. That's yet another case. In fact, he was said to have been the one who led the criminal group that kidnapped senior lawyer Michael Zekome more than a decade ago. So it's quite a number of persons that you have there whose cases have been highlighted as being controversial. Okay, but then we move on with the headlines for you this morning. Our next protocol we're still looking at the Vanguard, but then we have more headlines from the Vanguard newspaper. Now the star headline, INEC, that's your kicker. In my time, losers will congratulate winners. Mukito. That sounds promising, especially given the number of riders with that headline. Priscilla is smiling, but can't we just have faith for once?
That's the faith. I'm smiling in
You're smiling in faith. Great. One of the riders here says, guest Senate confirmation as INEC chairman. Promises to work with NIMC, NCC, others to improve polls. I'll audit IREV to identify glitches that undermine 2023 elections. Says he was never in Tinubu's election legal team. Of course, that issue has been put to bed for those who are pushing that narrative, which of course is disinformation. Electoral Acts amendments suffers setback. I think legislators are saying that this is not the best time to have the conversation about the Electoral Act amendments. That is a far-reaching bill, and as such, there's no need to be in a rush about it. All right. Users' rapid data depletion threatens telecom sector growth. One of the writers there. Sector's $1 billion gain at risk. Subscribers accuse telcos of manipulations, threaten class action. Telcos dismiss allegation as baseless. Always. Rivers revokes 134 billion naira contract awarded by BAS orders reformed. That's on page 12. Well, I think there's going to be a showdown now because we understand the former sole administrator of Rivers State, who was there for 6 months, has gone to court to ask for an order insulating him from being probed. It's interesting how some of these ridiculous, if you like, matters find their way to court, right? How do I serve as a public servant, whether I was appointed, handpicked, or elected? And then by the time I leave office, my successor, I should say, who in this case, for example, is Priscilla Obasi, says, well, as part of mandates or objective, we are going to probe the previous leadership or administration, as the case may be. And then I, Uyi Agumofwegbe, being the person who was in leadership at that time, maybe as the Director General, Executive Secretary, Governor, or Administrator, what have you, I go to court and say that, please, courts, stop Priscilla from probing me.
Probing me, that's ridiculous.
Well, it's a subject of litigation now. Let's see how it turns out. All right. 2027, APC malls have taken over INEC as cries out. All right, and then we'll have a bit of sport for you as well. It says 2026 World Cup playoffs, 14 billion windfall from FIFA awaits NFF. If what's the if about? Well, that's the more reason you should read up details on page 30 of today's issue of the Vanguard newspaper. That's all we have for you from the Vanguard. Let's take it down to the Nation newspaper.
The Nation newspaper. So the very first story there is an NME, National Medical Association. Kanu's ailment, not life-threatening. This is unfair. Not life-threatening. Like if I say, do I have to? I don't know. Illnesses that let's call it mental health now. There are times that your mental health is even a risk. It's
so risky that it becomes life-threatening.
It becomes life-threatening. So you don't say, because you did not find any illness in me. And the funny thing is that when you go to the hospital, sometimes, or let's even say most of the times, you can be so okay. I am like, as I'm like this, I can just decide to go walk into any hospital now and tell them to run a test. I tell you that they would always find something to say is wrong with me.
Right.
They would always find something.
No matter how insignificant.
Insignificant. They don't always, especially in this space called Nigeria, where we don't consider our eating habits well, we don't consider a lot of things. Mental health is just there. We're stressed.
Right.
Yeah. So I am now wondering why somebody that has been in that space that is talking about Nnamdi Kanu. I am not supporting Nnamdi Kanu in any way, but I don't think it's okay, for the Nigerian Medical Association to come and say this guy's health is not life-threatening. What do you call life-threatening?
I think I like that question. It's quite thought-provoking. Okay, so at what point does it become life-threatening? Exactly. And who determines whether it's life-threatening or not?
Exactly.
Well, again, if Nnamdi Kanu, who to the best of our knowledge is not and has never been a doctor, says his ailment is life-threatening. And the Nigerian Medical Association, this may bring a logic into it.
Yeah.
And the Nigerian Medical Association, NMA, that has some of the best doctors in Nigeria, or indeed the world, now carries out his own medical investigation or checks, comes back and tells the judge, and indeed the courts, and by extension Nigerians, that this man is sick, but it's not life-threatening. Let's get the context. Okay, they are not saying he's not ill. That he's not ill, I should say. They are saying his ailment is not life-threatening enough for him not to be able to stand trial. Because the argument is, the man says he's so sick he cannot stand trial. So the court says, of course, the judge realizes that he or she isn't a doctor. The lawyers are not doctors. Therefore, what do? Let's bring an association of doctors. The NMA, of course, you should know, is one of the biggest medical associations in the world, just like you have the NBA.
Yeah.
But now, the doctors come. These are consultants. These are senior, experienced doctors, many of them with authority in different fields of medical sciences. Now, let's be clear, so we can remove three things: sentiments, emotions, and biases.
Yeah.
They are not saying the man is not sick, whatever it is. Their mandate was not go and find out what is wrong with him. Their mandate was, whatever is wrong with him, is it so bad that he cannot stand trial. They come back and say, this man, yes, he has ailment, even though we are not privy to what the ailment may be. However, it is not such that he cannot. Let me give you an example. So it's raining, and I know I'm supposed to be on Global Morning at 7 a.m. Monday to Friday. And then I say, I can't come to work at all, or I can't come to work in good time. I mean, early enough to be on Global Morning because it's raining. So the question is it raining or not? Yes, it is raining. Is it so bad that you cannot leave your house and come to work?
Is there a medical equipment that determines when you have a headache?
I'm not a doctor. I've never been in a med class.
Have you heard of so?
But here's the thing.
I tell you that you have a headache.
Well, I'm sure doctors have their parameters for determining when you have a headache and how severe that headache is, and that's why headaches are also classified.
Sometimes they have to ask you when you go to the hospital, ask you your symptoms. The doctors are not able to trace some of the symptoms. You have to tell them, this is how I feel.
All right.
That is usually the case. So if I have to explain to the doctor that these are my symptoms, because there are some symptoms that they can never ever get, right. I have to give them the clue, and then they add one or two together and say, okay, because of this symptom, this is what you might have. You go take a test, you know. That is usually the situation. Right. If I come say, this is how you cannot really know so much about my body. Except I give you information about it.
Right.
You can do your test for all I care. You can find out something.
But there's just so much you can know.
There's just so much you can know. And when it comes to mental health, it's something that we Nigerians take for granted. Some people can just be walking down the street, they feel okay, but emotionally they are bankrupt. They are down. And it's actually damaging. But we think it is okay. We think as long as you don't have a heart disease, as long as you don't have a kidney failure,
no cancer,
as long as you don't have a cancer, you are fine. Keep your mental health to yourself. But it is a big deal when it comes to your health, your overall well-being. So I feel like this guy has been in that space where he's messed up emotionally, mentally he's messed up, and it is something that can affect. It can be life-threatening. It can be life-threatening.
Okay, here's the thing. You are not a doctor. Unless you want to tell me between the last time you were on Global Morning, which is just about 3 years ago, and today
it's just common sense.
You've gone to medical, but these experts have gone beyond common sense. But let me highlight two things quickly before we move on to
this same Nigeria that you go to, and they are not able to find. They have to refer you to hospitals outside the country. They're not able to find something. Maybe we're now experts. We are now, we're now the God. We have the final.
No, we've never had a shortage, Priscilla. Let's be fair to our country and ourselves, of doctors across different fields of medical sciences. It has always been about facility, and that's why you see that there are cases that are referred to from public hospitals or health facilities to private, because those public hospitals do not have the requisite equipment. But let me highlight two things quickly. Someone told me, because on a different platform I used to host a law show, like program focusing on law, and a lawyer told me, because we're discussing the Evidence Act, he gave me a very pedestrian, normal, everyday kind of example. He painted a very brilliant scenario. He said, look, if a judge, High Court judge, Appeal Court judge, Supreme Court judge is driving to courts in the morning, on his way he sees a man murdering someone, and then he drives to courts. And then while in courts, for example, that matter comes up and they say, look, this man has been accused of killing somebody just this morning. The judge sees the man. The judge recognizes that this was the man I saw this morning, in fact 3 hours ago or less, murdering somebody, all right, brutally. He said the judge cannot testify to that case. It has to be the states that brings that case to that court. The judge will listen to the evidence, the judge will listen and review the facts from prosecution, from defense. Now, it depends on who brings the more persuasive facts that will determine the judgment as far as that case is concerned. I guess that's where they came out from, saying you cannot be a judge in your own cause. That's number one. Number two is, unless, you can prove me wrong. You have never spoken to Nnamdi Kanu at any point in your life, have you?
No, I haven't.
These doctors have spoken with him. These doctors have examined him as though he was their patient. These doctors have done their clerking, as they say in medical sciences. These doctors have done their prognosis, as they also say in medical sciences. These are things that determine what they come up with. For example, these are the same methods that doctors use in determining why does somebody have a cancer? Do they have a cancer in their lineage, right? Why does somebody have asthma? Do they have asthma in their lineage, right? They do prognosis, they check your medical history, your dad, your mom, your great-grandfather, and things like that. So they've done all of this with this man. So long and short of the story, they have said that, look, this man, because I'm not sure the judges have anything to gain from having him stand trial. I'm not so sure they have anything to lose if he doesn't stand trial and have to go abroad for. I think what we should be looking at is the context, which is very specific and clear. It says his ailment is not life-threatening, not so serious. I mean, I'm paraphrasing now. For him not to be able to stand. In other words, no matter, to use your term, messed up, how messed up his mental health is not so. I mean, we are three of us in this studio, even though the third person is invisible in the manner of speaking. But in a nutshell, we all have mental health issues. I mean, I can almost say that with certitude. But I'm also sure that we don't have mental health concerns at the same level, right? So for one person's case, we can say, well, Priscilla and we are mentally stable enough to do Global Morning today. But the other gentleman is not mentally stable enough to be at work for the next 1 week. So they all have mental health issues, flat out, universal, we agree. But the severity differs.
Well, like you said, they are doing their job. I think if they want to probe further, they can actually go under the call.
So you're saying Kanu should appeal this position?
No, exactly. If he has, if he objects to it, I think he should be given an audience. That's what I think.
Okay, maybe to get an independent sort of.
Not independent. When I'm speaking from the place of a counselor. Mental health is a thing. It's a strong thing that we overlook in this.
Okay, but the news probably didn't also report the entire story. There's also the possibility. I mean, I'm not privy to the medical reports that these medical experts would have also, who knows, recommended a therapy of some kind and things like that. But it is what it is.
Okay, so
I think our next point of call is the Nation newspaper.
We're still on the Nation newspaper, right?
Okay, on the Nation, right?
And let's just go to the big story. INEC Chair Amupiton, I will confront poll logistics crisis. And there's a writer to that says their needs for Electoral Offences Commission. Senate clears Tinubu's nominee. Okay, that's a big congratulations to him. Right. Finally, we have court fixes Monday to hear suit on PDP convention. Why is the court stopping PDP from having its convention?
It's been quite a long night, I should say. I'm trying to be philosophical about the People's Democratic Party these days. It just comes instinctively for me. The PDP has been, as I said one time here on the program, more like a house divided against itself. And we know what the good book says about such a house. It can't stand, right? And then, of course, unless two agree to work together, nothing can happen between both. So, as it stands right now, the PDP is balkanized, right? You have what they call the Wiki faction. You have the one they call the other, whatever faction it is. It used to be Atiku faction, but Atiku has left the PDP and moved on to a different platform altogether. So, it is now looking more like the Wiki faction versus the Governor Makinde faction. And for the benefit of our viewers, Seyi Makinde is the governor for your state, right? They used to be friends. They used to be political sweethearts when you had the G5 against Atiku. There were 5 of them. There was Ugwai, former governor of Enugu. You had the former governor of Abia. Your own former governor, Okeze Ekpeazu, was there. You have former governor of Benue State, Simon Otom. And then, of course, Seyi Makinde for your state and former governor too of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, now minister of the FCT. They were strong together. You would see them in Nigeria together. You see them abroad together. But at some point, there was this fallout between Makinde and the Wike. Yes. So these gentlemen fell apart, and the rest is history, as they say. But what has not become history, or is currently making history, is the disagreements and the bad blood, political bad blood between both gentlemen. As we speak right now, the PDP is in court over this convention. It will appear from all indications that the Wike faction does not want this convention to hold, which has been scheduled for next month. In fact, they are counting down. As a matter of fact, Governor Seyi Makinde was in Abuja a few days ago because he's the chairman of the subcommittee on transportation. So it shows you how big and pivotal this convention is for the People's Democratic Party, for a serving governor to be heading a subcommittee. And of course, he's the host governor, obviously because the convention will be held in Oyo State, that's in Ibadan. Long and short of the story is that one party has gone to court to say this convention should not hold. So rather than fight dirty and get physical about this, let's use the law. You've gone to court to say this convention cannot hold. And should that matter, all right, to the light of day, it means that convention will be stopped, even if you go to the Supreme Court. What happens if the appeal court, all right, upholds the judgment of the lower court and things like that?
Why are they saying the convention?
But in all, it's simple. Is the struggle, is the supremacy battle between the Wike camp and whichever other camp you're talking about. Because if you look at it, you have the Wike camp where you have people like the senator from Imo State, who is the national secretary of the party, the one they call Sam Dadi. All right, you have that Sam Elayao. You have that faction. Of course, the Wike's faction too. You have a few other people like former governor of Benue States, all right, Otom. They are all in that faction. All right, and then in the other faction, you have people like Governor Sheyi Makinde of Oyo State. You have Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State. You have people like former Kaduna State Governor Ahmed Makarfi. So you have all those people in that group, in that faction. So it is the Wike faction that doesn't want this convention to hold. And don't forget, convention is a determining factor for many things. Who leads the party? Who is likely going to become the next candidate, presidential candidate of the party. It's where you align and realign. It's where you establish your own bloc. It's where you strengthen your base. It's where you solicit support. It's where you get to lobby and do a lot of things. It's like the stock market. It's like the Sunday market in London. All right. So it's more like where you go to show power, where you go to test your might, where you go to, advance your frontiers as a politician. And for a man like Wike, who has become so influential, both in the PDP and the APC, the other faction just realizes that if we do not fight hard enough, we're not only going to lose this party to Wike, we'll lose ourselves politically as well.
Well, I'm speechless, because when it comes to politics in Nigeria, I don't know why a party leader is not in charge. I don't know why we still have to battle between, some men, that are not individuals right. in that party. It should be the party leader determining all of these things. But then it is Nigerian politics, and this is part of what we do.
Right.
Let's take it to the next paper, which is the Guardian and newspaper.
All right, let's go to the Guardian. Thank you, Priscilla. All right, on the Guardian, let's see what we have first here. Top of, just above, a little, beneath the nameplate, top right. Picture of Oji Uzo Kalu, former governor of Abia State, now senator, says aviation experts kick as Kalu accuses pilots of smoking marijuana. Yes, he said that. He said some pilots are, in his word, high on cannabis before they get in the cockpit, right? Then Obi Wike trade words over 2027 presidency, capacity to lead. NBA's pedo, police agree to review tinted permits policy. More music, less manifesto. Big story, which you can find on pages 4 and 5. It says, how praise singers override party agenda, scorecards at rallies. Okay, heavy reliance on oil, domestic debts expose Nigeria to financial crisis or to financial risks. IMF warns. All right. Defections, legal disputes rock PDP as APC governors project strength, unity in Kebbi. Presidential pardon under review, says AGF, as Makoli's family pushes back. The family is saying you can't lump our son with criminals. World Food Day, FG talks on support for local farmers, equitable distribution. NMA says Kanu fit for trial as Ohaneze group advocates dialogue. Of course, Ohaneze and a couple of entities from Nigeria Southeast have been advocating for a political solution because these legal imbroglio is becoming more complicated by the day. Those are your headlines from the Guardian newspaper today. Time now to move on to This Day newspaper.
Okay, so the first story, the federal government, over $1 billion private sector investment mobilized to boost CNG adoption. There's a writer there that says, Bloomberg, Dangote refinery slashes crude purchase by over 50%, fueling supply concerns. Chimamanda Adichie bags 3 prestigious European awards that detail ease on page 39. Senate confirms Amupiton as INEC chair. You find that detail on page 10. And to the big story here, further on, and that's has a kicker of the federal government. Presidential pardon still under review. No convict released yet. Okay, this has made it to almost all the papers today. And there are some writers to that story. Says government taking final look, at least for remedial purposes. Appreciates citizens' vigilance, constructive feedback. Declares reaction demonstrates Nigerians care about justice, good governance. Herbert Macaulay's family canvasses restoration of legacy. The very story there, presentation of 2 books by Dakuku, Peterside in Lagos. That will be all for This Day newspaper. And I will take it to the Punch newspaper.
All right, we begin with the ones above the nameplates. Top left corner, Nigeria missing as IMF lists Africa's fastest growing economies. We're doing number 5 for the other time, but now it says we're missing. Aburoye taunts Obi-led LP faction over infighting. Military declares war on new terror group. All right, it's interesting. The other time was Lakurawa, now is a different name altogether. We're seeing here. PDP crisis, court freezes convention plans. All right, that's a bit of a shocker for those who have been running around the idea of this convention the entire time. Star headline with a kicker that says, under pressure, Tinubu may drop controversial names from pardon list. Then there's a writer there with that story. As we move a bit, move it down further now. INEC to review lecturers' roles as Senate confirms Amupiton. And then bottom right, bandits kill 5 policemen, 3 guards in Zamfara. Quite a sad development there. Man burns ex-girlfriend inside Oyo barracks. When I saw this in the wee hours today, I just caught myself asking, why does it have to always do with barracks? We're not so sure if this is police or army barracks, but it says barracks. And then, for context, you can read all the details. It doesn't necessarily say that the person in question is a soldier man or a policeman, but it says inside Oyo barracks. But this is becoming quite a recurrence, and it's disturbing that people hurt those who they're supposed to love, spouses, those who are in what ought to be committed relationship, hurting themselves. And somebody said, these are the ones who get to know of because they're in the news. Yeah. And the question was, how about those who may not have been hurt to the point of death or even physically, but they are in relationships and marriages where they are hurt, where they are emotionally abused all day, every day, but they come out looking classy and shiny and all of that. So the person was raising this issue to say that there are more underlying concerns we should be bothered about beyond just being reactive when somebody dies or somebody is hurt so badly.
Absolutely. There are more underlying concerns. And I think we're just far away from that, from the reality of what it is.
Right. All right, so bottom left, last headline here, Hajj. Saudi Arabia slashes Nigeria's camp slots to 67,000. All right, time to move on to the Daily Trust newspaper for you now.
Okay, so the Daily Trust seeming a bit scanty, but let's go to the first story. Troops arrest wounded bandits, destroy camps in Kogi State. That detail is on page 34. 2026 Hajj, Saudi Arabia slashes Nigeria's slot to to 66,910. On page 6 is where you find out detail. Why our governors are defecting, and that is coming from PDP. That detail on page 12. The big story, decision on clemency not final, that's coming from the federal government. Senate confirms Amupiton as INEC chairman. You find out detail on page 4. Ulama rejects Christians' genocide claims. On page 8, 3-year-old baby raped, murdered in Jigawa. I don't understand. Wow. 3-year-old baby. Killings continue despite truce in Gaza. You find out detail on page 20. I don't think I want to react on that story.
It already sends goosebumps. Quite sad story. 3-year-old child not only raped but also murdered.
Murdered.
Wow. Let's find the strength to go to New Telegraph now and go wrap it up on that paper. All right, on the New Telegraph now, above the name masts, it says 2024 capital budget suffers setback over poor execution. IMF to Nigeria, tackle debt liabilities, illicit financial inflows. What's more, Sanwo-Olu launches 410 million euro Omieko project. All right, 78 electric ferries to transform Lagos water transport. That's quite audacious and ambitious. Rivers cancels 134 billion naira secretariat contract awarded by BAS, orders refund of 20 billion naira mobilization. CBN Bank of Angola signed MOU to deepen central banking collaboration. Nnamdi Kanu fit to stand trial, enemy tells court. All right, free Nnamdi Kanu hashtag. We are not part of Showore's protest. That's credited to the National Association of Nigerian Students, NAS. FOI, INEC demands 1.5 billion naira from law firm for access to voters register. All right, size guidelines for processing issuance of CTC of documents. Electoral Act confusion as Senate about second reading, 6 more consultations, confirms Amukbito as INEC chair. On the right end of the front page of the New Telegraph, PDP convention maintains status quo, court warns interested parties. Those are intriguing details on page 2. All right, here it says AI, financial institution workers demand radical reforms to protect employees. And we'll take it a bit further down. DHQ, why soldiers are yet to get their allowances. What are the reasons? Find out on pages 4 and 30. The writer says, troops neutralize gunmen, arrests suspected gun runner. That's some success for our troops there and for Nigerians. Amid outrage, federal government says release of Miriam Sanda, 81 others still being reviewed. Welcomes public engagement. And then the part that I like so much, social media may stunt students' intellect. That according to a study. Social media may stunt students' intellect. Well, we'll be having this conversation in our own little way the whole time, but now the New Telegraph is telling us there's a study in that regard, and we would encourage that you go look up those details so you can read up what exactly the study says on page 31 of today's issue of the New Telegraph newspaper. All right, so this is what we're leaving it with the papers, everyone. I would like to remind you that all of the headlines that we bring to you here, looking at the newspapers and, of course, by extension, those details that they contain are such that Global Television or the team here on Global Morning does not in any way contribute to them. We just bring you the papers as published by their respective publishers. Let's now take a quick break. When we return, we'll ask our guests what the implications are regarding the removal of mathematics for art students.
is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
What is your problem? What's your problem? We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
What is your problem? What's your problem? We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
What is your problem? What's your problem? We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
What is your problem? What's your problem?
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
All right, welcome back to the conversation. I still remain your host, Priscilla Obasin. Right now, we're about to go dive straight into the first conversation of today. We're taking a look or a deep dive into, the new policy in the education sector that has stirred a bit of a reaction. The announcement that mathematics is no longer compulsory for art students. Now, while some, hail it as a progressive move, saying that it allows learners to focus on their strengths, others fear that it may weaken the foundation of employability and critical reasoning skill. What does this mean for the quality of education is the question. For what does it mean for our students? What does it mean for the future career? And for the Nigerian labor market. Now, joining me to unpack this conversation is an education consultant, an advocate, I like to call him, for inclusive learning reform. Welcome to the show, Mr. Philip Osita-Ekene.
Thank you. Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning. It's good to have you once again with us. Okay, so let's begin with context. Now, the federal government recently announced that mathematics will no longer be a compulsory subject for students in arts. First of all, what do you think about this?
Wow. I think it is a development that has been long. We've waited for this for so long. Waited for this for years. The reason being that it will help individuals who want to gain admission into university to study courses that has business with mathematics to be able to get into school on time. Yes. There are people who has been delayed because of mathematics. That's the truth. There are people who, because of mathematics, they stay back at home for 5 years before getting admission. And in the real sense, their courses probably doesn't have anything to do with math. And so it's a welcome development that has long been standing. That's my take on that.
Do you think, or do you not think this would affect the reasoning, say the IQ of art students? Because mathematics is a foundation of, I feel, life. It's calculations that you use to solve problems. So problem solving skill, do you think in any way this affects it?
Definitely not. Definitely not. Yes. Mathematics is not the only subject that would help one to develop their problem solving skill, analytical skill, and logical thinking. Yes, the truth be told, as a matter of fact, I think that those students that are afraid of maths will probably begin to embrace it more. Reason being that because they need to pass mathematics, that's why they are afraid of it, and they are not able to put in their best or come out on top when it comes to mathematics.
The phobia hinders them from passing mathematics.
Exactly. So now that they know that there is no pressure on them, they may begin to embrace it by themselves, and they may even begin to love it much more and when they were being forced to do it. So that phobia is being taken away, and you see that a lot of them will begin to embrace mathematics. And like I said before, it is not just through mathematics that you can develop that critical reasoning, analytical reasoning. There are games that they can begin to play, or that they may play, that would even help them to develop those skills. So it's not just in the subject. There are other ways that they can apply mathematics without it being a subject that is being taught in school. So sincerely, I don't think that it is going to affect their critical reasoning and other skills that mathematics is supposed to help them develop.
Okay, so some students or some people are of the opinion that students fear mathematics basically because of their teachers. They feel like teachers instill fear in students, and thereby, it makes them not to lose interest in the subject mathematics. Do you think this is true in any way?
Yeah, true. There are students that pursued areas or courses that are math related because of the teachers that they had. So I agree that teachers play a major role in making students love mathematics or not like the subjects. That's the truth. And so when a teacher explains properly, takes his time or her time, is patient with the students, speaks into the student's life, makes students believe that I believe in you and you can do this. That changes, that helps a whole lot. As against some math teachers that are dismissive, they are impatient, they explain the concept on their own level of understanding, not forgetting that these children are not at your level. So the children end up hating the course, disliking it, not wanting to have anything to do with mathematics. Yes, teachers play a huge role in making students like maths or not.
Okay, so do you think this is just, do you think there are other science subjects that, mathematics should be exempted from? Because I think so. I don't know what you think. Subjects like, say, biology, there are agricultural science and all of those science courses that do not necessarily need mathematics. Is this just, is it proper to say, okay, mathematics should also, or should we clamor for that, change to in those kind of courses?
Well, the truth is, I think it will be one step at a time.
Okay.
Yeah, one part of time, yes. The truth, what you said, yes, is the truth. There are certain science subjects that has nothing to do with mathematics. But in the real sense, it's not that it has nothing to do with mathematics. It's just that it has nothing, will I say, significant or major to do with mathematics. Because in life, even in art, there is still calculation.
Yeah.
This calculation, you miss your things as an artist. Needs to know the measurements, needs to know what ratio.
Exactly.
That belongs to the CS. But that's not the extent that mathematics will involve calculation. But basic calculation, basic functions in mathematics, I don't think that will be a problem. So the skills, the mathematical skills that will be developed in the children from primary through secondary, of course, early secondary, and then even up until SS3. So what they're saying is that mathematics is not compulsory to gain admission to courses. It doesn't stop the students or the school from teaching mathematics to the students. Yes, you teach it.
Well, I think some students would lose interest to a large extent because of this policy, if they had the interest to an extent. While you say that there are those that, due to the fact that the fear has been taken away, the phobia is taken away, they would be more, they would, be likely to learn better, assimilate better. But there are also students that, because of this policy, because of this reform, would now sit, just take their minds off learning mathematics. Don't you think so?
Yes, true. I do. So now it's not now when policies are shelled out, Now, the next thing would be implementation. So it now behoves on the government institutions and schools to implement properly. Now, what I mean implement properly in the sense that they don't necessarily have to stop teaching mathematics. And then for those that would not be needing mathematics for their courses in university and higher institutions, they can still learn maths. But like I said, it depends on the implementation and then the schools. So the schools have to find a way to teach the students, let the students know that yes, you might not need this, but it is something that we are going to offer to you, and then you need to, or you have to put your interest in learning, even though you know that you might not need it to gain admission. So maybe that way, when they know that the pressure is down, it might just encourage the students to put in there. But like you said, truly, some of them would dismiss it completely. But that's why education is not just a one sector thing, and it's not just one arm. So education, for you to achieve it, it need the parents or guidance, need the school, and of course need the government. So everybody needs to put a hand in it, and then unite to make it work.
Okay, so in your space, or in your opinion, do you think that there are subjects that should be introduced to replace mathematics, subjects like financial literacy, subjects like logic, and maybe even statistics? Do you think those subjects should be considered to fill in the gap mathematics leaves behind?
Yes, in this 21st century, yes, there are certain subjects that should be introduced to the leader. But the thing is, we have the human resources to be able to marshal these subjects when they're introduced. Yes. So how many lecturers or how many people were schooled? They went to school and they studied logic, statistics, good and fine, and financial. Yes, they are important. Yes, they are important. These subjects are important for one to learn in the absence of math. But the thing is, you can also learn this subject side of the confines of the school. So, but it will be a welcome development if the government can look into it and then, introduce these certain subjects that will also help the data analytical and financial skills. Everybody needs financial literacy in order to be able to.
Yes. So I think it is an incomplete move. It's an incomplete reform, removing mathematics as a core subject and not replacing it with something that can still give the students ability to develop their critical thinking skills. Well, like you said, there are other subjects that can actually help critical thinking skills, but I kind of feel like in our educational sector, Nigeria specifically, there are subjects that are outdated. There are subjects that needs to be introduced to the system. These are subjects that actually, are missing in the workplace. Subjects like, emotional intelligence, find a way to just coin something into that space. Because when you finish from school, when you go through the whole rigors of the education and all of the processes, you find yourself in the workplace and you're needing things like, you say, teamwork. You're needing to work with people. You're needing to bring ideas. You're needing to take your job or take the company which you represent from point A to point B. And we don't have the whole practical skill to make this happen. I think it kind of puts us. It makes education not practical, or education in Nigeria, let me put it that way, not a practical thing, because we go learn the whole theories, and when it's time to implement, when it's time to practicalize, somehow we don't know the skills that we use to bring, to bring about the results we want to see in whatever field or space we find ourselves in.
Yes, that's right. That's right. It's not just the emotional intelligence that is something that should be taught. As a matter of fact, entrepreneurial studies should be taught right from the primary school to the secondary. Yes, because if you look at the nation is, well, I say, still developing. And in order for you to develop a nation, you need the the power of the medium scale and the small SMEs to drive the economy. And then how does this happen? When the people don't have entrepreneurial skills. So when these subjects or these courses are taught at an early age or at an early point, it will develop a lot of entrepreneurs. So when you see people leaving school, they are not dependent on looking for jobs. They are dependent on creating jobs, and then that would help the economy to go. So, but the point is, most times when policies are made, yes, I want to believe that they don't really sit down to think about, retrospect and introspect of the policies, and be able to come up with something robust. Just like it said. So sometimes they don't have to say, okay, let's do this policy and then do those policies. Now they don't look at impact analysis. They don't look at a lot of analysis that should be done to know, okay, what do we support with this policy? What do we do before we take away this policy? What do we do before we have this policy? These are the things that are lacking. So if that the proper analysis was done for this new policy that was brought, then you would see that there are other things that will be supporting it alongside. But I mean, that's, well, I say it's almost typical of Nigeria. But it can be better. Can be better.
Okay, so let me ask you this one: what is the possible long-term impact on national productivity if fewer young people develop quantitative reasoning skills? And then, aside the four walls of the classroom, say an art student no longer has to do mathematics, what additional learning or additional education, or say informal kind of education, would you advise these art students to engage in?
Sorry.
So you said that there are some courses, although not currently implemented in our educational curriculum, they are possible. You mentioned that it's possible to learn them outside the four walls of the class. So I'm asking, what are those courses? What should that art student venture into? Say you want to go learn these subjects that can actually help you in the workplace or generally in life.
Okay. Analytical skills and logical thinking skills can be learned from online. There are so many platforms online that teach you analytical skill. So if you let's say for example you sign up to Coursera or you sign up to Alice, before you develop your page, they will ask you what are the things that you're trying to develop, what aspect of your life are you what learning. So when you put that you want to develop your analytical skill, your thinking skills, they will come up with courses that would help you, and then of course they come with different titles and different names, and over time you work with those courses online, you'll be able to develop those skills, and of course when you implement, you begin to implement as you're being taught. So it's not like there's a particular course that you can do, but like I said, once you go to most of those platforms online and then you're building your profile, those questions are questions that will be asked. What are you trying to develop? And then once you put those things, those analytical and creative thinking skills, they will come up with courses that will help you to develop that aspect of you.
Okay, finally, before we go, if you were to advise the Ministry of Education today, what balance would you recommend? Flexibility or foundational consistency?
Foundational consistency. Now, this is why I've said this a couple of times. The entire educational system needs to be revamped. The entire educational system needs to be revamped. It needs to be revamped to a policy that is need-based. So we need to look at Nigeria. What are the needs? What was the plan, the 20-year plan, the 10-year plan? Are we trying to develop more entrepreneurs? Are we trying to develop more job seekers? So if these things are looked into, that would help us to now revamp it. Just like you mentioned, earlier, you said that there are some subjects that have no business finding their way into the educational system in 2025. So, for us to be able to get it right, we would need to revamp the entire educational system. And because there's so much emphasis on paper qualification on university, the polytechnics are there, the colleges of education are there, and these institutions have different functions. So if you want to develop teachers and people who will be policymakers, they should actually go to the college of education. That's the point, that these institutions should be able to raise teachers that would be able to change the educational system through their effort and the things that they are doing. So, like I said, it's a whole lot. The polytechnic should be able to produce the men and women, who have craft, who have skills, certain skills that they can use to power into the economy. Not everybody has business going to university. Some should just go straight from the secondary school to the and those institutions. The Netherlands, in so many countries, that's how they do it. While they are even schooling, they are already going for apprenticeship those places. By the time the person finishes from the not everybody goes to university. By the time they finish from those skill training institutions, they become full-fledged employment-creating individuals. You want to be an horticulturist, you don't have to go to university. You want to be a welder, you don't have to go to university. There are institutions that should teach those things. And then, so that a lot of emphasis will be moved from that type of education and went to university and then have a degree and do this. But meanwhile, in practicality, most of them cannot do those things that their qualifications says that they can do. So, for me, the truth is, the entire educational system needs that reform. We need policies that will drive the nation for the next 20-25 years. We'll work on that policy. After 25 years, we see how we take the result and develop another policy. And that's how most of the nations that have grown from third world, because so that's what they did. Go look at Singapore, look at Indonesia, look at those countries, and you see that we help them to get that. So that's my take, and that's what I think that the education, the ministry system needs to do.
Thank you very much for all of that insight. It is indeed educative having you on Global Morning. I really appreciate your time with us. Of course, we do appreciate your time with us. Thank you so much. This is how far we can go on the conversation. You have really, I want to say done justice. Yeah, but it's an ongoing conversation, like my colleague said, and we'll not stop talking about it until we see the change that indeed we want to see. So, thank you, Philip Ekine, for being with us on Global Morning. This is me wishing you an amazing day, right? Bye. So, to my viewers, thank you so much for still being with here. The conversation continues just after this break with my colleague. Please stay with us.
is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
What is your problem? What's your problem?
We're on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Nigerian political space is now being redefined in ways and manner that before now were never thought imaginable, but then it is the reality of today. Whether you're looking at it from the standpoint of the incumbent, which is the All Progressives Congress, or the lead opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, and indeed the coalition as we now know it, or you want to talk about the umpire itself, the Independent National Electoral Commission, you just realize that there's one conversation after another, literally on a day-to-day basis. And one of those issues in front of us now is the internal crisis within the PDP vis-a-vis the convention that the party has scheduled, in which case the countdown has begun already, but then it will appear that a court order has brought some drastic change on that front for the People's Democratic Party. When you put all of this together, what does it mean for our polity? Because political scientists say that ideally, in a system like ours, while you have the incumbents doing their thing, you must have a virile, viable opposition that can bite. The question is, has the opposition in this country, especially given that the PDP has been saddled, for want of better words, with that responsibility the last 1 decade, has it been doing that, quite frankly? Well, we'll find out and talk a little more about the state of Nigerian politics on the program this morning. I'm joined by a very high-ranking member of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, Chief Warmate Dobo Kiabo. I'd like to say a big thank you to you for coming on the program today.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Great. Well, yesterday we had the screening of INEC chair nominee, and we understand he has now been confirmed by the Senate. What are your thoughts in that regard?
Well, there is nothing more we can say because the Constitution empowers the President to nominate.
Right.
We've not amended those sections. So the President is within his constitutional right to nominate, and he has nominated who he deemed fit can do the job. And the Senate has gone ahead to confirm it. So what we are hoping is that, being that is someone, it's not just an academia like others we've had.
Right.
He's a professor of law, he's an elite silk. So we are expecting that his professional conduct will reflect in his action as INEC chairman to build the confidence of Nigerians to come out and vote. He has an opportunity to write his name in gold in the history of this country. And I hope that he will take advantage of that privilege God has given him today to be appointed as the INEC chairman. Because we are expecting a lot from him, being that he's a lawyer, being that he's not just a lawyer, but a professor. It's not just a professor of law, but a learned Sikh. It's not just learned, is, a lecturer also, in the University of Jos. So we expect that he will bring some of this, professional exposure, interaction with other people, knowing the pulse of the countries, what the people want, and what they want for INEC to do in order for them to come out and vote. We expect that he should live up to our expectation by ensuring that, encourage the National Assembly to ensure that they enshrine in our Electoral Act compulsorily the electronic transmission of result, and also the beavers. Let everything has legal backing. So that will build the confidence of Nigeria, because Nigerians, the issue we have today is that, well, our vote counts, and Nigerians have been saying transmit result electronically. So if that is done, it will go a long way to encourage people to come out and vote. Otherwise, we'll still be experiencing the voter party we experienced in 2023.
Interesting. Yeah, yesterday there are people who watched that session and thought that the demeanor of Professor Amukpito was impressive. His response to questions that were asked by senators and so on and so forth. But he also made a commitment saying that he would, amongst other things, go back and do an audit of some of the issues that were highlighted from 2023 general elections. And he said that cost will not be spared in terms of ensuring our elections are not only credible and fair, free and fair, but they are also such that will strengthen the confidence of members of the public in the commission. What more should he be doing in that regard? Because people say it is he who wears the shoe that knows where it pinches. He's not seen the commission yet. He also said that much yesterday, that he has not taken over yet. So there are things he naturally does not know as of now. We have seen INEC chairmen talk about this during their confirmation hearing as well. But what will be the advantage that will work for him in this case?
In this case, I believe that he has a good legal background. And in most of our election, we end up in the courts.
Right.
And the courts decide against the people's will who is elected. And a judge that is fair will refer the politicians back to the field, which is what should be, and not the court 3-man panel or 5-man panel sitting to decide who should be as against the people that elected them. So I think that its legal background will be an advantage, being the first legal luminary that is occupying that position, to ensure that it comes up with policy, administrative policy, and encourage the National Assembly to enact laws or enshrine laws in our electoral act that will ensure that after election we'll have minimal court cases, just like what we see in Ghana. So that is one of the things we work for is its advantage. Right. Because generally, I would say it doesn't have any advantage because people are not happy with the fact that the president, who is also, will be a candidate, is the one appointing him. So that one alone has, build up some kind of distrust in him. So he has to do a lot to build that confidence and say, no, not minding the fact that the president nominated me and the Senate confirmed me. This is an opportunity for me to write my name in gold, and I'll do whatever it takes to do the right thing. That is.
And you have already mentioned the Electoral Act 2022. That's what is in force as of today. However, there's a bill in front of senators now that seeks to amend that act and ultimately make it Electoral Act 2025. Again, the challenge came yesterday when senators, unanimously agreed that because it's a far-reaching bill, there's no need to be in a rush. This is not the appropriate time. Let's step down deliberations about that bill and reconvene to deliberate on the elements or the factors in the bill and things like that. What are your thoughts in that regard, number one? Number two is, what more should we bring into the Electoral Act now to move it from what we have in the current 2022 into 2025 for something more, a bit of reflective of our realities?
Presently, I would say that one, it should be the electronic transmission of result to be brought into the Electoral Act 2025 as we are expecting. Number two, the beavers should have a legal backing. In the world, it should be made or put in the Electoral Act. And there should be no clause that will give the Commission the power to use its discretion in using any other means outside the electronic transmission of result, and also in using the beavers to identify, accredit voters, right, not the manual accreditation in the event of the failure of the the beavers. Those things should be clear. It shouldn't be given an option for the Commission to use its discretion. And also, I believe that considering the cost implication, in 2023, we spent over 350-something billion to conduct the election for both the governorship and assembly, state assembly, and the National Assembly and the presidency. So I think we should have what I call one nation, one election in the Electoral Act. What do I mean by that? All the elections should be conducted in one day. The difference is to add the governors and the assembly ballot papers. It's same logistic process. The TA to the immediate past national chairman said in one of his presentation after they left office that most likely in 2027 Nigeria is to spend a whopping over 800 billion naira to conduct the 20.
That's close to
a trillion.
Right.
It's crazy. It's unacceptable. But this same election can be conducted with far, even not up to the what was spent in 2023. If all the elections will be conducted in one day, and it will reduce the stress people go through, because some people leave their station where they work or where they do and go to where they register to vote.
Right.
And when you get there, after maybe voting for the presidential election, you have to wait a week. But this one, when they are going, it will encourage voters to go down to vote. So they should see how they can enshrine that all the elections from president to Senate to House of Rep to governor to National Assembly and House of our State Assembly should be conducted in one single day. It's the difference is just as I said. Now, if you're going to vote, they give you a ballot paper for president, for senators, for House of Rep. It's to add truth to it.
Right.
That is governor and State Assembly. That is all. Then another thing I expect or want the National Assembly to do, and I expect the present INEC chairman to do, is to ensure that INEC conduct local government election, because what we see at the local government level is coronation.
Courtesy of the governors.
Yes, the sect, what they do is coronation. There is no election, and that's why you see the people at the grassroots don't feel the presence of governors. But if INEC conduct the local government elections in our country, just like what we experienced in 1999 and so on, you will see that parties that are not even having anybody at the national can win local government election. Yes, there are some states you see, just like what happened. Let me use APGA. Look, APGA has been winning. APGA have not won presidency. They have not won, but they have been controlling Anambra State. We'll have some local government that some state, maybe local party will be controlling 2 local government. If INEC is but today, what we have is, a governor appointing people. The next thing, the SEC comes and coronates local government chairmen. I will say they are elected. They are not.
Interesting. The National Assembly is now moving to propose that elections, especially the presidential election, should be held in November of 2026 as against first quarter of 2027. What's your reaction to that proposition?
Yes, to me is a good one. Why I say it's a good one is because we need to avoid the distortion of our democratic cycle.
Right.
Looking at now what led to all these things, we have off-cycle elections. But if the election is conducted by November, make it expressly clear and make it compulsory that on or before May 1st, all electoral matters should be concluded. From the first appeal to the appellate level should be concluded before the swearing in. So at that point, we don't distort our electoral cycle, because if we don't do that, the time we come, we will not have general election. General election, because half of the state, we have staggered election to the point that we cannot call what we have a general election. So it is better to conduct it by that November. So November to April or first week of March, we are looking at all electoral matters addressed. Anybody that is sworn in, we know that is for the next 4 years, except there is a recall. That is a different case for State Assembly and National Assembly. But for the executive arm, we know that it is sorted out.
Right.
So it will not distort our democratic cycle, as I said.
Very, very brilliant way to put it. But let's go a bit partisan now, Chief. The ruling party, the APC, has been relentless in terms of quote-unquote harvesting some of the big wigs from your party and everywhere else, but particularly from the PDP, your own party, into its fold. So we're seeing 3 governors move already, officially so. Yeah. The Delta, Akwa Ibom, and the most recent being Enugu. Of course, the Bayelsa State governor has formally resigned from your party, and there are speculations he's going to eventually pitch tent with the APC. A few more governors are also being spotlighted to be moving away from your party again to the APC. And every time I talk to PDP chieftains like yourself, they say the PDP is strong and intact, the PDP is not bothered. Is the People's Democratic Party not living in denial?
Well, let me start by saying that PDP is not living in self-denial, as some or APC members who want to put it. You see, the only issue we are having started, it has 2 phases. Now, the other one started with the ambition of the present governor of Bauchi State and the PDP Governors Forum chairman, who, because of his ambition, ignited a crisis in the NWC, took advantage of the present FCT Minister anger and ignited crisis in the NWC by calling for the chairman to leave. When that failed, they went to the point of calling for the national secretary to leave. That failed also, as you know. So that now created division. He welcomed a group that called themselves that the NWC of PDP in his government as without cautioning them that no, this is wrong, because of his ambition to be the vice presidential candidate to whoever emerges as a president. And that's why
that's in 2027.
Yes, in 2027. And that's why when he said that he has made sacrifice, to me he has not made sacrifice enough. Because you cannot say you have made sacrifice because you didn't contest for the presidency. Make sacrifice to the root from the top. Because the presidency has been zoned to the south. You are now saying that you have sacrificed your ambition. No, your ambition is to be the vice president. As we speak today, you are depriving the northeast zone from having the national chairmanship because of your ambition. And you're also projecting someone from your state as the national organizing secretary. You are projecting someone from the northwest as national chairman, as against your zone having it because of your vice presidential ambition. And that has led to you dividing the NWC, which we are struggling to come out of to date. So that is one part of it. Then the second part of it is that PDP is purging itself. When you have overeaten, you are
constipated.
Yes, you are constipated. That is what PDP is going through today. And it is not that when you are constipating, at a point you get yourself. So right now, PDP is going through that. But I can assure you, within a short while, we'll get ourselves back. So that is the situation. And we are not perturbed about the decamping of some of the PDP bigwigs. Because let me tell you, see, in politics, moreover in Africa, bringing it down to Nigeria, our politicians decamp for three reasons. One, for political ambition, for political survival, and for political protection. And when they decamp based on that, they will not give the impression, masquerade it with, we want to connect with the national or center.
There's an internal crisis in our party.
No. Most of them, they want to connect to the national because they know some of them that are living, like the Enugu state governor, is part of the crisis. He, in fact, caused the crisis along with the Bauchi state governor. So he cannot claim that the party was in order or before they started because of their ambition, inordinate ambition, caused crisis in the party. So most of them, even when he was talking, said he wants to connect with the Center for Development. They are so greedy and shameless because they are not learning from the person they are going to meet. The president today was a fantastic opposition leader.
Against your party?
Yes, against our party. He will not trust them because of it that they are chicken-hearted to go to war with. They want to use it to, for news. But on ground, the people of this country, the people of Enugu State, the people of Bayelsa State, and the people of whichever state that the governors are decamping for are with the PDP. Go to the grassroots. Talk with the people. You will hear it. Yesterday, a media personnel called me from Abuja here. He's from Enugu State. He told me how the assembly, some of their members, legislators are begging them that no, this one they will still be doing what they are doing for them and so on and so forth. The people are not happy. So most times when you look at what they do, the president will not take them if he's going to a war because they are chicken-hearted people. In the words of Professor Denta, he said they are godless, they are conscienceless, and they are greedy. Otherwise, a platform that has given you this opportunity. You are a second-term governor. What are you afraid of? Why are you decamping? You are a first-time governor. On same platform, you won election. Why not impact the lives of the people and let them vote you? So what they are telling us that they are not popular enough to contest for another election. They are afraid that their popularity will not deliver them.
I think, Chief, the concern comes from knowing that these governors not only decamp or defect individually, they move with what you politicians call political structures. In many of these cases, we've seen them move with a chunk of the members of House of Assembly, their aides, including commissioners and advisors, and what have you, sometimes the entire base and all of that. And we all know that politics is about numbers. Will the PDP still be able to go to political war in 2027 with his limbs in place, with all of these happening?
See, let me say something. It is better for us to have even one faithful governor, few faithful National Assembly members, few faithful Assembly members, State Assembly members, and Nigerians, than having unfaithful governors that will betray the party at the war front. It's better, and that's why we are happy that these people are leaving. These chicken-hearted governors are leaving, and I'm assuring you, the president going to 2027 general election will not pick them because you know that they are chicken-hearted. They cannot withstand pressure. They cannot withstand the heat in the kitchen. So they will run away, even if he's there. Because he stood from 1999 till he became president. He stood as opposition leader. There was no time he joined PDP. So you look at them and laugh and use them to cash cruise. The presidency and APC is using them to cash cruise. That is it. Just to work on the psyche of Nigerians that the APC is doing very well. Meanwhile, we all know what we are seeing. According to this thing, he said the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So you see it practically. The 2027 election will be between Nigerians and the ruling party. It's as simple as ABC. It's not with a governor. Let me give you an example. A governor and his so-called structure. If you have, for example, my state, we have 3 million registered voters. And the governor and the structure leave. They are not up to 100,000. Just to exaggerate, they are not up to. That tells you the people decide. Because the people are over 3 million that will vote.
But we also know that this is not just about the governors being members or being in your party, which has been the platform on which they came into office. But governors also play the role of funding political parties for the most part. You can't run away from that as well. Does that not, as it were, cut your funding very drastically for a party like PDP that has not been at the national leadership for about a decade?
You see, you're very right. The governors fund the party, and that's why people like us are moving for the party to be funded by the people. How do I mean funded by the people? Let us have what is it? Was it Jim Nwobodoso, one of the former national chairman of PDP, started e-registration of members, collection of dues of members. Let members pay dues so we don't depend on a governor. With the strength, membership strength, I'm telling you, by the time members pay dues, we will not look at any governor. To hell with them. We will not look at them. Because the people know that as they are contributing, the party will stand for them. So you will not look at one governor deciding the fate of a lot of people. That is what we see today.
But that sounds like something that would be very radical.
No, they introduced it. It was going. It was same governors that stood against it because they are afraid that the party is going to the people by so doing. They stopped it. They stopped it. If that is done, we will not need funding from any governor. If any governor wants to assist the party, to be an addition. It must be the basis.
Not the primary source.
Not the primary source, because the primary source will be the people. Because even the governor will contribute. What did they use to remove Secondus as national chairman? That he did not pay dues.
Yes, right.
And in the constitution, it's enshrined that if you don't pay dues for 6 months, you are not you are suspended automatically. And if you don't pay up to 1 calendar year, that is 12 months, it is considered that you are no longer a member of the party.
Even without a formal notification?
Without a formal, it's there in section 7 or so, subsection 3. It's there. So, that's why when people are saying the World Health Code removed Secondus, no, they don't have that powers. They just went to court to enforce that section. And that is why we are saying that let there be electronic transmission of results. Also, PDP amending its constitution should also amend the fact that before we had 18 months when you join the party before you contest for election, 12 months before you give an appointment if you join the party. But for whatever reasons, in the wisdom of those that amended the constitution in 2017, they reduced it to 1 month. That led to some people that ought not to come back to the party, came back to the party and laid the foundation for the destruction of the party.
Okay, so...
But we thank God for the present leadership under Ambassador Magu that is doing all within his power to make sure that PDP does not die as against the wishes of some persons in and outside the party.
I'd like to call him your friend for the purpose of this conversation we're having. Nyesom Wike, Minister of the FCT. He had just said this week that, look, he'll be making known the party he belongs to very soon. Because before now, there has been a myriad of questions about, are you a member of the APC? Have you left the PDP? And the man, in fairness to him, has been very, very clear. He has said, look, I'm still a card member of the PDP, even though I'm serving my country on the platform of the APC, courtesy of the president. What difference would that make when Wike comes out, if he does come out, to announce the political party with which he's affiliated?
Well, I want to respond to that question by saying that let's wait till he makes that decision. By the time he makes that decision public, at that point we'll be able to give a proper assessment of that and give the proper answer to it. Because, let's not jump the gun. Now it will look as if jumping the gun, but let's wait to see what the statement will be like. At that point, we will now say, okay, we'll make proper assessment of that decision. Just like we are making of those that have decamped. We are not making of those that have not decamped, but those that have decamped, that look at it. Look at what it is. And the reasons they are giving are just flimsy. And we're able to assess it. So if he's going to remain in the party or is going to leave, at that point we'll be able to decide or give proper, evaluation or analysis of the decision.
That was quite a leading question, actually, because my point is going to say that now that we know Wike is going to come out to declare the party he belongs to, there are people who are insinuating that his objective from the word go has been to destroy the PDP from the inside. And now it will appear he has either accomplished that goal altogether or is almost done accomplishing it. So it's now high time he came out to tell Nigerians that he's done and dusted and he's not a member of the APC. Of course, we're not jumping the gun because the man could come out tomorrow and still insists that he's still a member of the PDP. But as it stands right now, is it not clear that Wike has been bent on ensuring that the PDP is depleted from the inside?
No, I want to say that it is very clear at this point that the FCT minister's actions and inactions has demonstrated that he has the intention to deplete the party and to destroy it for whatever reasons we do not know. Because looking at what is happening today in PDP, he has been given ample opportunity. Yes, he has been a very strong member of the party that has contributed immensely, to the development of the party. But his actions recently, even when it was going on, Nigerians were saying expel him, suspend him, and so on. The party leadership gave him the opportunity to study. Sometimes what you see from far is different from what is inside. Right. You can misinterpret people's action. So the party stood back and watched. What is it? And from the recent action or move to truncate the convention, forthcoming convention, a lot of people have concluded that at this point, there is no other interpretation to the fact that it's within the party to destroy the party. In other words, is the Trojan ox of PDP.
It's interesting because we would have thought by now, for those people who had said that it was former Vice President Atiku Abubakar that was the albatross of the PDP, now the man has left the PDP and the tension has not eased. So it just makes it clear that, like you have already mentioned, Maybe Mr. Wike is more of the problem for the PDP than Mr. Atiku Abubakar. But let's not talk about where your party, before we take a break now, where your party, the PDP, is today. You know, you and I talked here a few months ago about the possibility, or otherwise, of the PDP joining the coalition. And you made very clear that the leadership of the party was not thinking in that direction. But again, a lot has changed between the last time we talked about this and today. Even Ben Bruce, who has also been a senator on your platform, the PDP, has resigned. In fact, he has thrown his weight behind the policy direction of President Bola Tinubu.
He's a businessman. He's not a politician.
For whatever it is, I mean, politicians don't play with numbers. But let's now again revisit the issue of whether or not the PDP will likely, going into 2027 election, consider a merger of any kind.
No, you see, people misinterpret and misunderstand the PDP. The PDP is not an elitist party. The PDP is the masses, is the people's party. That is what people
in practice.
In practice, in principle, but you have leaders that will lead the party. But it is the people's party. It is not elite's party. It is not elite's club, so to speak. So we are not looking towards that direction. As I said some months ago, it's either collaboration, not coalition. The PDP is strong enough. The PDP is structured enough. The PDP is popular enough. The PDP has reached out enough. The PDP is rich enough to win any election from the bottom to the top. It's as simple as that. Not minding the camping of some, in the words of Professor Denta, godless, conscienceless, and greedy politicians masquerading that it is to connect with the central. Meanwhile, it's for political ambition, political survival, and political protection.
Okay, let's take a quick break at this point, everyone. Just one more question. When we return from this break, before we call it a wrap on this conversation, do stay with us. All right, Chief, let's wrap it up with 2027. We understand that a new INEC chairman will be inaugurated, hopefully in the next few days, by his principal, President Bola Tinubu. Of course, your party is also gearing up for quite a number of elections before 2027. We have Anambra, Osun, and Ekiti. What competitive advantage is the PDP bringing to these three different electoral outings?
The competitive advantage is that Nigerians knows under PDP they strive lived better as compared to what we have today. Today, look at it is world rating that Nigeria life expectancy has dropped under the APC-led government to 54 years. 54, 53 life expectancy, which covers every aspect of human life. That's why I say it's Nigerians that will push them out. Nigerians will punish the APC-led government for inflicting pains, hunger, debt, insecurity, poor economy on them. That is the comparative advantage we are going into this election with. Nigerians will vote them out, will punish them with that. Today, fuel is 1,000 naira. Today, you cannot talk about renting a house in Abuja, 2-bedroom, with 500 or 700,000. You're talking about 3 million. Nigerians will punish them. Insecurity everywhere. Nigerians will vote them out. That is the comparative advantage we are coming with. It's not governors. The Labour Party have had any governorship, any government position when they got 6-point-something million.
That was it.
And it was assumed by some that they won the election, as against what INEC announced. So that is it. We have the structure. We have the people. That is the most important thing. Those that are what you see living are the leadership. But the followership are with the party. They are angry that you are not giving us cogent reason why you are going to a party that has impoverished us, that has, dealt with us. It's not like I listened to one young man, Odokoye, claiming that, and I felt bad that the media sometimes don't help matters. Putting that he was a former he has never been a former national secretary. From 2021 to date, Anyanwu has remained the national secretary. There was no point in time Odokoye became the national secretary of PDP. And when he was leaving the party, he was saying that the PDP has not done anything for the Southeast. It sounds so daft. Let me tell you why. It was since after independence.
That's insulting.
No, since after independence.
You have to take it back. You have to take it back.
Wait. I'm coming. I want to listen because I just decided to use that because since after
they say it's not well informed about the facts.
It's ignorant. It's very ignorant. Since after the civil war in this country, it was under PDP government they appointed a Southeasterner as the chief of army staff. All the 5 states all the 5 states in the Southeast has produced Senate presidents under PDP. PDP has given the Southeast national chairman of the party. PDP has given the Southeast deputy speaker of the party. PDP has given them lucrative appointment as in ministers, agencies. One of the respected lady that's delivered Nigerians from of blessed memory, what is that name? Professor Dora Akunyili. So when somebody comes out to ooze out his ignorance, you quickly shut him up.
All right, I think there's a lot we need to talk about, but time has failed us already as it stands right now. But the next time you come here, hopefully things would have changed to the better, further for the PDP. I was going to ask you, if Mr. Wike continues to carry himself or carry on the way he has been doing the whole time, will he be suspended by the PDP? I'm sure that's you're not want to make that call.
No, definitely. The party leadership.
Right, we'll make that decision. Yes. But I want to say a big thank you to you, Chief, for coming on the program.
Yeah, thank you.
We appreciate that. All right, that's where we're leaving it with this conversation, everyone. When we return, Priscilla Obasi and I will do stay with us. Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're
on the road to protest. And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
All right, I think we are beginning to, of course, we are practically at that point where we are now counting down to when President Bola Tinubu will formally inaugurate Professor George Amopitan as the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission. That will further strengthen and extend the conversation around the 2027 general election and Nigeria's political space.
Absolutely. Ultimately, the goal is all eyes are on 2027.
Right.
To see how everything plays out. We are hopeful again that Nigeria will get it right in its elections.
Can I get an amen to that? All right, so this is what we're leaving it this morning, everyone. Thank you so very much for watching. We'd like to remind you that the views of our guests on all of our programs, including here on Global Morning, their opinions and the newspaper headlines we bring to you are just exactly as published by their respective publishers. I'm Uyi Agumofwebe.
And I am Priscilla Obasi, wishing you an amazing day.